Welcome to Pixel Composer 1.20 stable. So it's been a while since the last video because I've been fixing the bug and trying to make software ready for the stable launch, and here we go. So in this version there will not be a lot of big feature compared to the last one. One of the biggest thing rendering wise is that there's new incremental rendering system that should make it easier for you to work with larger projects. It will not completely freeze or hang your computer while editing, but there are also other smaller features as well, so let's get to it. So the first thing is that when you try to open the project from the older version, things gonna look different. In the pattern generator, how the scale impact your output is now inverted. So you might want to go to Snowbody generator node and then change the scale properties to make it look right again. Another thing that got changed is the transform image 3D. The projection, it will just swap. The orthographic will become perspective, the perspective become orthographic. And I had to change it because the older version I put it in the wrong order. So now it should be the same order as the 3D camera, right? Perspective, orthographic. Perspective, orthographic. I swapped it in the older version, so you might want to go and change this to make sure that your output looks the same. And these are the breaking change that will have an impact to your projects. Now let's take a look at the new things. First is the faster version of the node. There are two nodes that I added that are a simpler, faster version of the already exist commonly used node. First is a number. So the number node here have a lot of properties, right? It have the control, the gizmo control, and all the display control and stuff like that. And it makes the node pretty bloated for a node that are supposed to just be outputting a number. So now I have the number simple, which would just be a number, right? It just have one number. There's no control over gizmo, no control over display. It just output number. And as you can see, it is about 10 times faster. So there is a button here that I add, right, that allow you to switch between the faster mode and the quote-unquote advanced mode. So if you don't need display controller, gizmo controller, then you can just use the fast mode. Another node is the draw shapes. In this case, the faster version of the node have the same set of property as the normal version. The difference here is that the faster version is not an array processor. It doesn't support array of input, so you cannot do batch processing in there. But because of that, it becomes twice as fast. So I think that it's kind of worth it. If you're not doing batch processing, if you're not doing array processing, you can just switch from the normal version, I call it the array version, into the fast version. The next addition is just a bunch of new gizmo for different nodes. Like the shape node got new gizmo for controlling shape properties, and stuff like the fractional unit to some of the node that doesn't have fractional unit before, like the bloom node or the plot graph node. Then we have the new dynamic output for the SVG and the 9 slice node. So the SVG node here usually only output the surface, right? But now it also output an SVG object as a dynamic surface. And what it means is that you can plug this dynamic output into other node like the transform node, and then you can transform it at full resolution, right? As opposed to just a surface output that when you scale it up, it's just gonna pixelate. Another node that have this dynamic output is the 9 slice. And you can see there's now a dynamic surface output that allow you to plug it into other node. In this case, I plug it to composite, and then you can scale it. You can do rotation and whatever. And with the composite node, you can have multiple of them. It's more useful in the UI element things, right? This example is not really useful. This is the map making. But if you're gonna use map making, I would recommend use a tile drawer and stuff like that. Right? And there are smaller improvement, right? You can now press Control Tab to switch between the setting and the property page. There are now hotkey for some of the properties like the oversampling or the interpolation. You can do Alt-I, Alt-O to switch between different interpolation modes. There are improvement in the font system. There are performance improvement on the graph panels. And there's also a new autosave option for your project. And as usual, there are a little bug fix in this stable version. As you can see, the bug fix is longer than the last one, because I try to make this version as stable as possible. But as usual, there probably gonna be some bug that I missed. Now that I release it to a stable version, there's gonna be more eyes and probably gonna get more bug report now. So in the next week or two, there's gonna be a number of patch come out before I start working on the next major version. Another thing that I did in the past month is I create Pixel Composer Mini, which is a web app that you can use to do some quick edit to your image. Now, this is only available for Patreon supporter for now, because it's really early and I'm not even sure what I'm doing with that, right? But the concept here is that it uses stack-based processing instead of the node-based. So it should make things more simple, but it's also less flexible. So I'm not sure where I'm gonna go with that, but it's a web app too, so it's definitely more accessible. There are people using it on iPad and stuff like that, so I may look forward to expand that in the future. But the main development will always be on the standalone version. The mini version is just extra thing that I did. in my free time basically. It's only available for a Patreon user for now, but once the software get more developed, get more features, get more nodes, and I'm gonna release it to public for free. But so that will be it for today's video. Thank you everyone for watching. Special thanks for all the Patreon supporters, and see you in the next one.